I remember a place more magical than Disney's Magic Kingdom, with more mystery and amazement than the Magic Castle. Its heart was a magician more powerful than Merlin. The place was the Forks Hotel, and the magician was Eddie Fechter. The Forks was located on the outskirts of Buffalo in a town called Cheektowaga. The building was unimpressive, with a handful of sponsored bowling league trophies lining the walls. It looked like a typical neighborhood bar, which it was Monday through Thursday. But on a Friday night, after the best fish fry $5 could buy, around 8 o'clock, there was a transformation, and for the weekend, it would become a magical place. There was Magic in the Rooms by Eddie Fechter, and Magic in the Bar by Carl Norman. Eddie taught me the real secret of magic is the feeling it creates in the spectator's mind. And I learned that a good performer can make you laugh. A great performer can make you cry. Next to the bar, the Forks had 3 rooms: the front room, the back room, and the ladies' room. The largest being the ladies' room, so named because the ladies' restroom was in its back corner. On a weekend night, you could hear laughter from the bar from the comedy of Carl Norman. From the rooms, you could hear screams and applause from Eddie's magic. Eddie could do something with a deck of cards that I have only seen in a handful of magicians. He could entertain. Magicians like me would come from hundreds of miles to work the rooms and learn from Eddie. Some of the apprentices became famous, like Mike Skinner, Derek Dingle, Ray Mertz, Billy Okel, and the Gallows. But even the rest, like me, benefited throughout our lives from Eddie's thoughts. I remember one time I brought Jim Steranko with me to the Forks and introduced him to Eddie. Eddie said we have a tradition here. Whenever a famous magician visits, we ask him to autograph an ace from a deck of cards to put on our wall of fame. Humbly, Jim Steranko took the pen and signed the ace. Eddie took the ace and slowly looked at it, and then looked back at Steranko, back at the card, and back at Steranko. Eddie then tore the card into little pieces and threw them on the floor, and looked at Steranko and said, "You're not who we thought you were." Wow, that was priceless. After the Forks closed, about 3 in the morning, we would go out to a restaurant for breakfast. That was almost as much fun as the Forks. Eddie would break off the end of his spoon, stir his coffee, and call the waitress over and point to his coffee which he was stirring. Then he'd lift the spoon without the bowl, which he had broken off, and say to his waitress, "This coffee seems strong." Later, when the busboy would come by with his cart, Eddie would say to the busboy, "Take the patient up to surgery. I'll be up there in a minute." But I think Eddie's funniest bit was when he would eat French fries. If someone was watching, he would eat 2 fries and throw every third one over his shoulder. Then when that person would tell their friend to watch the way Eddie was eating, he'd just eat them normally. I've seen many of the late bar magicians: Frank Everhart at the Ivanhoe, Matt Julian and his son, Heba Haba Al at the Pickle Barrel, Senator Crandall at his bar in Chicago, Johnny Paul and Jimmy Grippo in Vegas. Eddie wasn't about comparisons. He knew that magic wasn't about him. It was about them, the spectators. But if I had to pick one, I'd pick Eddie. Eddie and the Forks were inseparable. When Eddie died, so did the Forks. Certainly this convention, like Eddie and the Forks, would be only a memory if it weren't for the dedication of Obie O'Brien. But every year, about the last week in April, when I pack up my bicycle rider backs, my coins and my expanded shell, I think about why we're here, why we are privileged to be here, why there is a 4F, and what makes it so great. That would be Eddie. Eddie was the richest man I ever met. He left a legacy like none before him. You and the others at this 4F convention are that legacy. I ask you to honor and respect that in remembering Eddie Fechter.